Okay, folks, good evening. I know nobody's here yet, but we're off to a start, or at least to pick up where we left off last time, which is working on the Jagdtiger. Maybe we'll do some painting over the weekend, but I just don't feel like firing up the airbrush at this point. It's too late anyways. Too late to get that started. Very little daylight left. But still trying to get the bad taste out of my mouth out of this thing. This is just an abortion. I don't know that I'm even going to build the other one. But we'll see. We'll see where that takes us. All right, back to the Jagdtiger that is a good quality manufacturer. Hey, Hoffman. I'm hanging in there. I've had a frustrating day, but hopefully this will be better. Just saying, just trying to get the bad taste out of my mouth of building that King Tiger. Honestly, it feels really weird. It feels really weird to build these late Battle of the Bulge and later type German vehicles. It feels very, very strange. It's almost like I went to like a anarchist parade or something like that. It just seems so, it's just so unlike me. It's just something I never do. I've never done late war stuff. It just, you know, it's a little too wearaboo for me. I don't know. It's just something really strange. Even when I was building this, it was like, what am I doing building this thing that, like, you know, because I usually, what I like to do, I do periods of the war where things are back and forth, not like, well, we'll pull out these big German toys. I'm like, well, what good is it? You can only travel at day, you know, at nighttime, and the Yabos freaking eat you alive, and there's no fuel, and you know, it's just very strange. But all right, we were making this, and we were making 4 of these. So here's the 4 that we made. And we need to get a bunch of A12s and A1s. So yeah, it was very strange. I know some people like automatically gravitate towards, oh, let me do this late war German stuff, and I'm like, it just seems so weird. It seems weird to do stuff after 43. Okay, this is the 12s. Right, we need 4 of these, and they're right here. We'll see how much of this can do. I went to the gym, and I'm like shaky. A lot of people gravitate towards this late war German armor. I just think it's weird. It's unlike me. I was watching a video that was sent to me by Nordic, and it was about somebody that was putting together a King Tiger. And it was a 1/35th scale model. And I think I watched the whole thing. It's actually a guy that I've watched before that has a hobby shop in Arizona, I believe. And I started watching the building part, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of boring because I'm not going to do 1/35th scale models ever again. Because you can't, unless I'm going to game in 1/35th scale. Talk about a role-playing game. But this guy was painting this King Tiger. It was this particular manufacturer. I don't remember who it was. It was an AK model in combination with a Tacom King Tiger, and it looked like a pretty nice kit. And he he was mentioning when he was putting it together that it came in with various decals. One of them from like 1944, one of them like May of 1945, like Battle of Berlin, and then they had this alternative history. This alternative history was that it was in July of 1945. And I've noticed that. I've noticed that there's actually companies that make stuff like Wehrmacht 47. You know, like secret. And there was like, I'm growing up playing video games. There used to be this flight simulator called Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe, and all this like, what if the war would have lasted longer kind of stuff. And it's just like, that just never interested me. I mean, the war is plenty interesting just to not make up all this, you know, this fantasy of what if the Nazis would have been around even longer, and they're lucky to have gone as far as they did. I mean, they were just like incompetence at every level. It's a shame they weren't more incompetent and they would have gotten taken out sooner, but that stuff's just weird. Like, I mean, you know, I'll admit there's a lot of German stuff that looks pretty cool, you know, but let's see, we need 8 of these. Okay, so it's all these right here. Have the A, these are A1s as well, right? Yep. But just focus on the stuff that is made. I was watching another video about a month ago about that, about an airplane that I actually thought they never made, but it actually flew. They didn't fly very many of them, and it was like a Dornier 335. It looks like a big Jumo engine with basically wings on it, and I think it was like the fastest pinch piston engine aircraft of the Second World War. It's like they made like 20 of them before the war's over. And yet they make tons of models of them. I just have it hard to get excited about stuff that they didn't make very many of them, or came in like a mouse. I'd never make a model of a mouse, ever. First of all, it's ugly as sin. But, you know, it is good for the consumer to have options, I guess, but I'm just not interested in any of that stuff. Part of it just almost sits, it just sits really badly with me. You know, I just feel like I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Something, I can't put my finger on what it is. Hypothetical history isn't for me. The real stuff is far more interesting, and it's real. That's right. And you learn something valuable. You know, just like somebody was telling me the other day about the fluff of the new Warhammer Epic. I'm like, it's just make-believe crap, you know? You know, while I don't have a problem with putting swastikas and stuff on any of my vehicles, or flags on, you know, if they're appropriate, I'm kind of uneasy about, you know, building stuff that basically means that the Nazis are around longer than they were, and I'm not even one of the groups that they targeted. Like, my family isn't any of the people that they targeted, so just imagine if they were. It's something about it and I can't put my finger on what it is. I've actually never really thought about it until I started building this Jagdtiger for the first time, and I'm done with it, and I'm like, it's weird how many really late war German stuff there is when, you know, I mean, they were bad, and then by this time of the war, they were doing really bad stuff, and like everybody knew it. You know, it's like, I don't know, just something about it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know, maybe everybody's entitled to my own opinion. That's my own opinion. But I didn't know That Dornier 335 actually flew. But I got stuff, I don't do really early World War II stuff, only because, I'm not doing German tanks with white crosses on them. It's just, what is this, the Swiss Army? But anyhow, I've never really thought about that until the last couple days. It just kind of made me feel weird. I've never built a King Tiger. It never occurred. When I did 1/35th scale stuff, it never occurred for me to build a Jagdtiger or a King Tiger 1/35th scale. I mean, it was just like, even a Tiger. I never built a Tiger. Usually when people make up history, extend a war, it usually seems more like a WWF fantasy matchup than what would actually happen. Yeah. You got those Panthers with freaking night sights and shit like that. Now, I did watch a video while I was on the treadmill today on the King Tiger from the Tank Museum, and I found out some stuff that I didn't know, according to them. If I'm telling you something that's a blatant lie, well, I learned it on the internet from supposed experts. And one of the things that we're talking about that I did not know about these guys right here is that apparently none of them was ever taken out by a hit to the front. That's what they said, which I find kind of suspicious because the first 50 that were made of the King Tiger used the pre-production turret, which everybody likes to refer to as the Porsche turret. So we'll call it the Porsche turret so everybody knows what I'm talking about. The first 50 had the Porsche turret on them. And the front of the Porsche turret, which I actually like better, it's sleeker looking, but it's a shell trap. You can get a shell that comes in here and it, tanks have a lot of armor. They don't have a lot of armor on the top. And if you have a shell that gets deflected from the 180 millimeters of armor onto 20, you got a problem. And how would they know that's a shell trap if none of them were taken out from the front? I don't know. But that's what they said on the video. None of them were ever taken out from the front. Maybe none of the ones that were faced by the Western Allies. And they were also saying that they manufactured about 500 of them, just shy of 500. And that's with their factory being wrecked. So imagine how many they might have made if their factory hadn't been wrecked. Although I suspect that a lot of the problem was raw materials as well. But I've never had a thing for the King Tigers. And the other thing you got to consider, though, is that they're facing stuff like this. Where is she? They're facing stuff like this. And if I had a JSU 152, one of those. So they're facing 122 millimeter and 152 millimeter guns with an 88. I mean, yes, this is fast as shit, and it's a long barrel, and it's accurate and everything, but, unlike the Western Allies didn't have, for the most part, main tanks that had guns of that caliber. The most powerful thing they had is the 90 millimeter gun, and it didn't show up until like the last 2 months of the war. At least on the Pershing. I don't know how long the Jacksons were around, but I don't think the many Jacksons were around even at Battle of the Bulge. So, on the Eastern Front, they got to deal with stuff that if it doesn't penetrate their armor, it's going to give them their ears are going to be ringing for a week. So, okay, we've got 4 of these that we get to make. Okay, this piece goes like this. We're going to put the A12s sit in there. Got it. So yeah, those WWF fantasy matchups happen a lot in naval war games, or they used to. People be like, oh, we played a game with battleships, and we had the Bismarck and the Littorio and the Yamato versus the King George V and the New Jersey. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, why even bother playing that crap? You know? And that's when I was a kid. I'm like, what's the point in that? Like, you're playing that card game, Naval War, where you have stuff like that. I see these other guys that they put, you know, they build all kinds of stuff. And it's just like a German vehicle, and then another German vehicle, and then another German vehicle, and then one more German vehicle. I'm like, you know, the Germans do have to fight stuff, you know. And I've always played war games, especially when I did World War II. I was building both sides. So you can't just go on a tear and just like, well, I'm building the Germans and somebody else is building the Soviets. I got to build both sides. Uh-oh. Why is this one not wanting to fit in here? Question is it this piece or this piece? So let's try it on a different one. That one fits there. Maybe this thing's cocked too much. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, that's a shame because that was a couple nights ago. I'm not going to be able to rotate that back. Well, let's see where the glue point is. There and there. I'm going to put some on and try to rotate it back. I don't know that I'm going to be successful. I've had bigger challenges just today, so. There we go. Yeah, it never interested me to build these experimental German. The latest like experimental thing that I ever built as the Germans. Actually, I don't remember if I actually did, but I wanted to, and that is a Focke-Wulf 190 D9. It was a beautiful aircraft, you know, especially for a radial engine aircraft, which I'm not a fan of. Or you know, a TA 152. But other than that, it never occurred to me to build one of these. They just happen to have it in stock, and I'm like, okay, well, why not? It'll be an opportunity to do the late war German paint set and paint it with a different base color than normal. But honestly, I enjoy painting the Soviet vehicles the best because people think of them as being like boring in one color, and you know, you can have fun with them. You can make them interesting and still realistic. You don't have to go, you know, crazy. I mean, you can always go crazy, I guess, if that's your thing. Okay, we got to put 4 of these. Got to put the lower one first. Steel road wheels, though, you don't have to worry about painting the little black around them. So if you're a fan of not painting road wheels, which honestly is not that big of a deal, especially since I've been painting sandals and belt loops and shit like that for I don't know about belt loops, but you know, for the last 20, so this is a piece of cake. or it's always a piece of cake. It's just not what do you call it? Tedious. You finished watching all of your connection's terrible. Well, let's see. It may not be you. Oh. Let's see if it gets better. Some dumbass didn't connect their computer. That shouldn't make a difference. It shouldn't make a difference. Okay, now we're plugged in. What did we get the battery down to? 23%. Let me do this. Your device needs to restart to install updates. It just installed updates the other day. This thing has a fetish for wanting me to go upgrade to Windows 11, and I'm just not going to do it unless somebody puts a gun to my head and I have to do it. Oh, now I lost the screen. I don't want to see more. There we go. And that shouldn't affect it. I don't know. We don't need more problems today. I'm not at work. Did you watch, you caught up with the Black Mirror? Have you watched all the episodes now? That's your homework assignment. And the connection should be better now that I hardwire this thing into the computer. We're not having a Wi-Fi connection. Okay, so we got that done. It's telling me to put the sprocket wheel on. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that until we get to the tracks. So I want to be able to rotate them if I have to get them in the right place and then glue them. Okay, moving on to the next step. This is, okay, upside down like this, and that's all of these, and then these go like so. The hypothetical World War II scenarios I'm interested in is in this PlayStation 2 game where the Pacific theaters last a lot longer and each side has these proto-diesel mech robots. Are the Japanese ones kamikaze ones? You know, I've never built a Japanese plane. Never have. All right, what the... Okay, what's going on here? There we go. We need to go like this. Thank you. It's like, what's going on here? Now, I did used to play Aces of the Pacific way back in the day. I didn't mind playing the Japanese. especially you start the war. The Japanese Army aircraft are horrible. Whatever that little bastard's called. Nate, I think is what it is. It's like an ugly Stuka, because it's got fixed landing gear. That's even slower. I bet it's slower than a Stuka. It may not be, but it's slow as snot. I remember you finally get a nimble aircraft, the Oscar. Well, Oscar is very nimble. It's got 2 machine guns. It's got a 50 cal and a 30 cal machine gun. That's it. Great. And let's see, who are you fighting? You're fighting American fighters, who happen to be the most armored fighters of any of the major combatants. Shy of a Sturmovik, but a Sturmovik is not a fighter. Don't do Windows 11. No, I'm not going to as well. They're going to force me at some point. So the reason I'm not going to do it is because I was the user. There was a time period between 2012 and 2020 that I did not have a home computer to call my own. I had one I could use at work. I had my phone I could use. I just, so I was kind of dead in that zone. I just didn't think I needed it or justified it. So I fell behind on video games, all kinds of stuff. So I did most of my gaming with consoles and then used my phone and stuff to surf. And we also had an iPad. And I am not an Apple fan, but I do understand that the iPad, I got pretty familiar with it and was happy with it. It wasn't for me, it was somebody else. I'm like, can I put some war games on there? And they had just come out with those Shenandoah Studios, Battle of the Bulge, the Drive on Moscow, and the third one, which they only made for the iPad, and apparently was really buggy. I ended up buying it. I think it was just called Desert Fox, and it was basically Alamein. And I really liked those games. And I had just gotten it, played it. I don't know that I played a scenario completely. I fooled around with it, and then it told me, do an update for whatever. And I did it, and it did not. Every game that was not 64... Is it frozen? Apparently people were having problems with my feed. They said do an update, and it was what later I heard someone call the 64-bit apocalypse, where there was, we got to get these 4 of these 8 pieces out here. The 64-bit apocalypse. So basically, I got screwed out of every single app that they had not updated 64-bit, and Shenandoah Studios never updated that. So I never got to play that Desert Fox game, and they never made it for standard computers, and never made it for Xbox, because they did make it the other games for Xbox. So I never got a chance to play it. And ever since then, I learned a valuable lesson that I'm not going to update shit because, I'm screwed. And I'm not savvy enough about computers. I mean, I'm not a total ignoramus, but I'm not savvy enough about computers how to undo an update. Nor am I interested in finding out. That's just, I'm a painter. So, that left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not upgrading to Windows 11 until Bill Gates comes here and ties me down. And, I don't think that's gonna happen. He's got to get through the 9mm first. So there may be a time when I'm forced to, but that's the problem. Is I don't want things that are working now to not work. So. Japanese have some interesting interior colors for their planes. I don't remember what it is. The Navy, the U.S. Navy one had that ugly-ass green. So I was just talking about you, Nordic. I watched that video that you sent me on the King Tiger. And I watched him build some of it, but it was mainly the painting part that I liked. But it's like he went and painted a July 1945 thing. Like, you know, if the war would have gone on even longer, I don't know. It feels really weird building something this late in the war. It's just very strange for me. And it'd be even strange. You're like, well, what if the Nazis would have lasted a little longer? It just seems weird. Sturmovik is a beast. Your favorite plane. Okay. You have this. Oh, you sat down in Prime 135th pounds. You realized I forgot to get gator grips on sticks, so I'm going to wait until tomorrow to do that. I have this big Japanese World War II plane in my garage. I bought it in an estate sale. I think it's one of those remote control planes. Do you know which one it is? I think that is an extremely frustrating hobby. Imagine putting this much work into it and then you get a gust of wind and it crashes and you have nothing to show for it. No, that's not for me. I remember as a kid, I watched this video of these guys that were in, I want to say it was Czechoslovakia, back when it was Czechoslovakia, and back when it was still communist. Like I said, I was a kid. And they took these ship models. I don't know what scale they would have been. Maybe 1/200. They were pretty big. I mean, they were like, what'd that be? 4 foot long, maybe even a little longer than that. Not longer than like 6 feet or something like that. And they'd have BBs in there, and they'd go on this lake. They weren't radio controlled. They were remote controls. They had wires underneath them in the water, I think. And they would shell each other and sink. It's like, I'm not building a freaking model of a battleship for somebody to sink it, you know? Phone battery's low. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I've got a notification that 16 skip frames. I don't know what's causing it. Windows 11 version 22H2 is ready and it's free. Download and install or stay on Windows 10 for now. What about a third option? Leave me the F alone, you rat bastard. Stop asking. I have no other programs open. It's almost the only thing I use the computer for is to film this stuff. Yeah. Sorry, folks. Wish I could make it better. Everything seems to be all right here. Somehow it's just skipping frames. I don't know. This used to happen all the time before I had the fast internet. Skip frames detected 100% over last 2 minutes. I don't know. Which is the part that's frozen? This screen here or the one me in the corner? I bet it's the one here. I could maybe try turning that on, turning back off. I don't know. I'm not a computer guy. The fact that I've been able to do any of this stuff this far has just been a miracle. Like I said, I didn't do anything different than I always do, and it seems to work stellar, so. You don't like the late part of the way. It just feels weird. It feels weird building these super wearable freaking weapons. I don't know. It just seems like I said earlier. Everybody knew the Germans were up there. They were on a tear doing the super really bad shit then. But there's several games of Wehrmacht 47, or if the war would have gone on further, and you know, all these really interesting space age designs the Germans had stuff, even though their industries were freaking cinders. Now you and your freaking hearing, man. You and your women's hearing. We're gonna have to send like a hit squad of feminists over there to take care of that. You're stomping on their territory. No, just a fan. Not raining. Nobody showering. Is this volume too high? See, Middlestone to me, if you say Middlestone, that's automatically a Western Desert British color. And that might be because back when we used to use Poly S, that was what their desert British color was called, Middlestone. Now, if you look at Vallejo, the color they call Middlestone is the color that I would have picked up to use as Dunkelgelb in a lineup. If they say, okay, pick which one of these is closest to Dunkelgelb, I would have picked the one that they call Middlestone. You're not a huge fan of late war tank battles, but I suppose each era of the war has its tactical challenges. Yeah, I'm not either. And like I said, I even feel strange doing this, almost like dirty. It's weird. It's really, really weird. Like I'm doing something wrong. Both are frozen. Well, they're not on my screen. I don't know how to make it better. Oh, now skip frames detected. I don't know what the hell's going on. I really don't know. I did the same thing I do every time. Is that war still going on in the Ukraine with the drones taking up all the bandwidth? I didn't need any more problems today. I had a frustrating day at work, but that's pretty much every day at work is frustrating. It's the audiobook of Tony's stream. Thank you, Wardrobe. Both screens are frozen. I don't think it's the computer. Man, the computer's only 2 years old. I did spend many, many years without one. I didn't want to, every computer I've ever bought has always been $2,400. I bought a Gateway in 1999. It was my first computer. I don't even know what kind it was, but I did a lot of research. And it was the top of the line one you could get with all the gamey shit you wanted. And then it lasted from 99 until 2004, I think. 2004, I got a Dell, again, $2,400 desktop. And then it lasted I want to say until 2012, but it was all glitchy. It got that stupid redirect virus. And this one has been virus free. Of course, I do most of my surfing on the phone. And yeah, it's been pretty much virus free for the whole time, thankfully. And mainly the reason I got the computer was to do this kind of stuff, because I was just basically using the phone for, phone is a computer, and we got to have one of those. So, or I feel like you got to have one of those. And it's not like it's something you don't get your use out of it. Even though you spend 20, and this thing was like $2,400, and of course every time you do the upgrade, you get it's more powerful, but it's still the same tier. This isn't a mainframe is what I wanted to call it. No, a desktop. I probably will never get another desktop because I can travel with this if I need to. I can bring it with me if I go somewhere. It's just nice to have that option to be able to do that sort of thing if it's needed. And I don't have a desk to put it at. And that just saves you money. So, yeah, I didn't get one for a long time because I didn't think that I was going to get my money's worth out of it. It basically boiled down to that. So, I don't mind paying for something if I'm going to use it, but I'd hate to get something and it just sits there and doesn't do anything. That's just not a good value. That doesn't make you feel good at the end of the day. So, okay, so some of these guys go both ways. Or did I get distracted with the whole frame shit going down? Or is this thing backwards? No, because this is the 13s that we cut out. This thing's drawn really weird. Well, there's only one way they can go together now. It could be wrong. I have seen kits that are wrong, so there's only one way this thing can go now. I'm on the off chance that I put them backwards, which I don't think is likely because I did them the other night, but on the off chance that's the case, I'm not going to undo them to redo them, so it'll just be, this is the undercarriage shit. You can't even tell. There's only one way to do them right now. Yeah, it's like mirror image. Okay, well, off we go. I don't think I'm going to build the other King Tiger. It is just such trash. It is just such complete trash. And I don't really want to buy a detail kit that costs more than the kit did. You win some, you lose some. You win some, you lose some. Actually, the thing that makes that thing such trash is that the glue won't stick to it. That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I've never seen that. But somebody commented in one of the groups that it happened to them too. I'm like, they melt down a bunch of kids' toys or whatever, and it's like, let's cast some tanks at them. Road to Tokyo book for Command Decision. I never heard that they made that. The phones cost as much as the computer. Oh yeah, what I was getting at is, so you think of, oh, well, you bought a $2,400 computer and it only lasted you X number of years. But I did the math. It's 25 cents a day. And I got my use out of that. The phones, I use the phone all the time. Phone's what, $1,500? I use it for everything. And the more things I use it for, the more I can justify the cost of it. I use it when I travel for, listening to music, going to the gym. It's working as a camera right now. The thing I use it the least for is a phone. I don't want to talk to anybody, So the more justifications that you can use, I don't mind spending the money on something that I'm actually going to use, but buying something and it just sitting there, that just makes me lose sleep over it. So... like the people that buy an actual boat and they're not out on the boat half of the weekends of the year. It's just sitting there. And hell, boats cost more than your car. That in and of itself is absurd. All the above. I don't know what you mean by that. Maybe you agree with it being. Yeah, you just gotta. It's okay. Use the stuff that you have. It's like watching. It doesn't make sense for me to buy a new TV if I don't watch TV. We all can't have everything, and so use what you have. Use what you have. This goes this way. It looks like this drawing is wrong. Because this matches this. Okay, well, no worries. Yeah, some stuff just kind of bugs me. There's a company out there. There's a guy on Facebook, and I'm like I said, I have no problem with swastikas and shit on my vehicles if they get them. I have no problem with putting the little air recognition Nazi flags on vehicles that they take them. Like when they had air support. Doesn't bug me. It's what they used. There's a guy that was posting pictures. I don't think he's a white supremacist or anything, but he was posting pictures of some SS soldier with his dog or whatever, remembering everyone. I'm like, no, I don't want to see that shit. And I also don't want to build a bust of what's that guy from, I can't remember what his first name is, but they make this bust of all these, SS guys, and one of them is, Wunsch is his name. He was a tank commander that was for the Hitler Jugend, 12th SS in Normandy. And he's like the poster child of of the New World Order for the Nazis. And I'm like, why do you need it? I mean, are you? Is he part of your family? Or it's just suspect. Stuff like that is suspect. There was this big joke way back in the day that, that, and it might still be around, but on the miniatures page, they would always post that, Osprey's coming out with new books, and it's the lingerie of the SS, and the all this really very specific to stuff for the Nazis and nothing for anybody else. It's just kind of suspect. Like, what's your market for this? Use your phone like crazy. Yeah. So it's okay. It's not. It'd be like buying a car and not driving it. Buying a gun and not shooting it. I don't mean in anger. I mean, just for fun. Hopefully nobody's buying any of those to actually use it in anger. It's like, I buy a car, what? To run people over. No. It came out with a number of TO scenario books and TOEs for test of battle version of the rules. Is test of battle like more simplified? Because I'm of this mindset of going in the opposite direction. It's funny because the first World War II miniatures game I ever played, even before I played Squad Leader, pretty close to about the same time period, was Command Decision. That was the rage, If you get a boat, I'll move down to Florida. We can go fishing. I don't need another mortgage, man. They're too expensive. The boat equivalent of my car would cost like 3 times what my car costs. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't live that close to the water, and we'd have to go saltwater fishing. I am not a freshwater fan. But there's several people in model groups that are like, they build German shit only. It's just, it's weird. It's really weird. Yeah, there's parts of this that are just drawn wrong. There's parts of this that are drawn wrong. Oh, your screen's probably frozen. You can't see. But if you look at this here, this is this part. And the first one, the one closest to the sprocket, which I didn't install on purpose because I want mobility when we go and put these rubber band tracks, just in case. It shows the one that sticks out the furthest is the one that's closest to the sprocket, and it's not. It's actually the one that sticks out it's the closest in. It's just very strange. It's just very strange. But oh, we do need to. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. I'm getting all excited. I'm jumping ahead. We got to put the other knickknacks on it first. We invented parts out of that Panzer 4D. We can do anything. All right, where is... These should all be 10s. That makes sense for them. What's the age on this? 12 plus or something? Bullshit. It's probably more than that, but... Probably not a whole lot more. Anybody got any good deals on Prime Day today? What, another 5% on some items? Whatever. I do want to get a new couch cover for my couch, which I finally cleaned off. I don't like that there, but it's handy to have it there. Want to get a couch cover that's all like one piece. I want one that has the individual cushions and stuff. I've had it a long time, so whatever it was, it got my money's worth out of it. But it's going to take a lot of searching to find the right one, I think. See an episode where he goes to India to catch a child eating catfish. A catfish that eats children. Wow. I guess it likes curry. I've eaten catfish only one time in my life, and I was not impressed. Didn't make me want to eat it again. Test of Battles 4th edition. The rules were streamlined and make them flow better, but the differences are not that drastic from your understanding. What was 3rd edition? So I played the first one. That's what I started with. And then I got the second one. The second one is infinitely better than the first one. Infinitely better. It's still the same game, but it's infinitely better. Like, there's no reason to play 1st edition if you can play the second one. The second one had all those TO and E's and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what the third one is. I lost track of it. I lost track of what happened with it. Okay, so this shows, yeah. It shows it in the opposite direction. Oh well. Either I fucked up or they fucked up or we both fucked up, but it's too late to go back to it. It's not that critical. These things were built by slave labor anyways. So they just decided to put them on backwards. Or the instructions are wrong, or... I make different kind of screw-ups. I don't do that one. I've now gotten to the age of every time I want to type something on my phone, my fingers have gotten fatter, and I make a lot of putting typing the letter next to the one, and it's really frustrating. Of course, I could just be like some people I know that just never type anything into their phone; they just speak into it, and of course they everything that they speak into it gets misspelled, and you end up looking like a moron. But it's annoying to have to proofread every single thing you type out because of fat fingers. And I got a big phone. I mean, they don't get any bigger. Oh, you mother! I felt it go down my leg. And there she is. It's always these round pieces. Okay. Now we can glue these things on here like I was excited. Build your own boat. I know somebody that actually did that out of a kit. They built this boat that was like 12 or 16 feet long or something like that. Like 2 people could go in it. It has like the freeboard of like a foot. And they were going to take it to go to the Bahamas. Have fun drowning. Build some allied vehicles and tanks that are so damn drab. But you don't have to make them drab. That's the whole thing. You don't have to make them drab. Okay, so this is facing in the right way towards that. Well, I'm doing everything out of the wrong order. I need a drink. But it looks like the picture's incorrect. Yeah, because this actually has a little notch where it has to fit a certain way. This is the way it fits, and now the one that sticks out farther is on the one side next to the sprocket. So it's actually these drawings down here that are wrong. This is correct. Yeah. I made a mistake thinking I made a mistake. I'm just going to glue them in here. Put the other pieces on afterwards. Makes more sense. When I watched that video where the guy was putting that king tiger together, and I thought it was hilarious, is, well, we're going to start on section 8, because I build the bottom stuff first. I'm like, you go, girl. That's what you do. If you've done this stuff for a while, you know what needs to be done in front of to work for you, in what order. But I liked what he was doing with the primer. I just didn't like that he built a hypothetical July 1945 king tiger. I just would have never done that. You've only played Test of Battlefront, I'll be honest. I had a benefit of playing Frank Chadwick and Glenn Kidd, so that made the games flow easy because they wrote the rules. Yeah, Command Decision is, at least the versions I played, is not anything like a complicated rule set. But I grew up playing Advanced Squad Leader, and I don't think Advanced Squad Leader is a complicated rule set. I think it's multifaceted. You know, I'm used to, you know, rule books being clear like Avalon Hill games where you can look things up. You know, and sometimes you guess, and because you can't find it on the odd chance, and then when you go and look it up, you were right. You know, not like, oh, it's Phil Barker and it's the polar opposite of the way I think. You know, it's like, pfft. Okay, we're done with this. We're going to leave the sprocket wheels off because we're going to test fit it, and if we find out, oh, well, we do need to put it in, and we can put it in later. Okay, now it's telling me to build the back plate. Okay, Mr. Backplate. Nope. But I did watch, I'll mention this again because you weren't on here, Nordic. I did watch a video on the King Tiger from the Tank Museum. And a couple things. The thing that really struck me is that they claim that a King Tiger was never knocked out by a shot to its front. They claimed there was never a King Tiger that was knocked out by a shot that came in through the front. I was like, well, if that's the case, why would you call the pre-production turret, also known as the, affectionately known as the Porsche turret, have a shell trap? If none of them ever took if you take a shell through that front, you're hosed. You know that. I don't think the top of any vehicle, no matter how big and badass it is, of World War II is more than 30 millimeters. That's probably a stretch as it is. That's why, you know, you look at, you know, those guns that the Germans had, those planes that the Germans had to do the tank busting, the Stuka Gs, the Stuka G1s, and also the Henschel. I think I actually had a 75. So you're screwed with that. But the 30 millimeter cannon, 30 millimeter cannon, that's not a very powerful round. Yeah, but if you're knocking on tanks that have 10 millimeter top armor, yeah, 30 millimeters badass. So I found that a little bit suspect that they could claim that no King Tiger was ever knocked out in the front, but you know. Building a medieval cathedral in the fictional town of King sent backdrop an image of the white ship sinking and Thomas Beckett's murder. I've only read a couple books that are historical fiction, and I'd just rather read something that was real. But I'm the exception. Most people prefer to read fiction. I'm just like, if you're going to make something up, you could have done better than that, you know? Your grandma would like that. I think that's what GMA is. Man, I want to see whatchamacallit again. It'd be the third time. Generation War. It's so freaking good. There we go. There's the fit. There's the fit. Okay. Exhaust. A11. Let's put the pieces on two different things. Okay. And we'll drill that exhaust out after it's connected. Or maybe we'll do it beforehand. Probably better to do it beforehand. So Historicon's next week. I take it none of you guys are going. I hadn't planned on going. It's too late to go now. I don't want to do all the work in advance that I have to do at work to go. Although I'm going to be pissed if I end up not going to Europe and didn't use the days for it. Just going to get to the point one of these years that I'm just going to say, like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to go to Europe. It's been too long, it's never happened. Too much of a pain in the ass, F it. There's a reason my ancestors left, and that might have been the one. Okay. It's going to take a smaller drill bit than that, I think. Maybe it won't. A little bit smaller. Where is the drill bitten? She liked them, but she likes pretty much anything with an attractive male lead. Any of you guys seen Versailles? Mitch and I liked it. I would call it a girly show. You view reading fiction as my way of watching television without actually watching television. Fair enough. Okay, you're forgiven. You know, the problem with TV is it doesn't make you think. And the problem is there's just so much stuff that is just hot garbage. I was in Miami and they had the TV freaking going on, and one of the people that I stayed with is a self-proclaimed TV addict. And it's one thing if you're watching the television, but just have it running wild, running interference, just drives me crazy. I never have the TV on unless I'm watching it. It just noise. And a lot of these shows, there's so many of these shows that are either reality shows or shows that pretend to be reality shows that are filmed that way, but it's all freaking staged. And when they go to a commercial, they recap half of what happened before the last commercial again. So it takes you forever to get through anything. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'd rather surf on Amazon or Wikipedia. I should reread the Iliad. I have it on your bookshelf. Is the Iliad really that much fiction? The Odyssey certainly is. Or A Bad Trip. You know, there's just a lot of stuff out there, and some of the stuff that sometimes you're interested in, other people aren't interested in. One of the guys, one of my favorite YouTubers is this history guy named Tick. And I enjoy most of his videos. He did a poll one time where he was like kind of burning out on doing his videos, and he kind of put a poll out there like, you know, should I do more, you know, this Battlestorm series that he does, which is like, you know, the stuff that us war gamers would like, you know, moving units around on a freaking map, and it takes a lot of effort, or a couple different things, and one of them was like politics, and apparently the politics thing won, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about politics stuff. Like, politics stuff is a turnoff for me. I mean, I think he's a pretty well balanced guy, you know, so, but I'm still not interested in politics stuff. You know, I want to talk about tanks and shit, you know? What do you guys think of that Napoleon? Speaking of teasers, what do you think about that Napoleon thing? I just don't see... I just think an important part of playing a historical character that everybody's familiar with is you got to look like the guy. Okay? And Joachim does not look like Napoleon by any stretch of the imagination. So, based on that alone, I'm not very excited about that. And you know, what are they going to do? His whole life in one movie? Yeah, they're going to go over. They're going to skip over a ton of stuff. Yeah, I think he's a good actor. I just don't think that it's going to feel like Napoleon. No, Versailles doesn't interest you. It's really good. It's really funny. Got some hot scenes in it if that's what you're interested in. Didn't really find any of the women in it attractive though. It was kind of a bummer. But The guy that plays Louis the 14th is the same guy that's in the Vikings, where he's the monk that gets taken as a hostage, and he does a great job as Louis the 14th. Although he could have at least pretended to do some kind of a French accent instead of, his standard fare English thing. So it's towards the bottom, so it goes like this. It's the hotel prices that turn me away from most cons. Well, this one's actually held at a nice hotel. I don't want to stay at a hotel that's a dump and still cost over $100 a night. I work too hard to be staying at a dump. Sorry. I don't need to stay at, the Ritz-Carlton, but I don't have enough hobbies I need to scrimp that much. But, what do I need to go for? I don't need to play any games. I want to play some demos. I certainly don't need to shop. Although I did put all my kits away in my closet. All the stuff that I sold is gone from there, and now it's all full of kits, so I really am enjoying putting the kits together. A lot. A lot more than I thought I was going to. You gotta move on me, don't you? No, I'm sorry, I'm not sitting in a room that's stale with no air circulation. I've been hot all effing day long. And then I went to the gym to get hot some more. But at least I was wearing less clothes. You read that the average American reads 12 books per year. I read a hell of a lot less than that. I don't read very much. Like an actual book, I don't. They put me to sleep. They're just too relaxing. I think that's a way high estimate. I think the average American probably reads a book a year. There's some people that read a lot and some people that don't read any, which is probably the vast majority. Looks into Phoenix is the wrong actor for Napoleon. Yep, he just doesn't look like him. Sorry. I think he could probably handle the acting part, and I don't necessarily dislike the guy. You gotta kind of make him look like, you gotta pick a guy that looks like him. Like George C. Scott and Patton. George C. Scott looked more like Patton than Patton did. And I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but he looked the part. So, okay, attaching track. The tracks in this kit can be glued using plastic cement. You Chinese liar. It cannot. This is rubber. I have space for one courtly drama show in my heart, and that is The Tudors. Did you like it? I made it to about season 4, and I think he was the wrong cast for Henry VIII. You looked at the female cast, and I don't know why they don't use Napoleon's coronation music for the film trailer. That would have been one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time, instead of just the same old trailer music. Yeah, nobody would know. It's trailer trash. I'm surprised you like the Tudors. I don't think he was the right cast for Henry VIII. I made it to like season 4 and I just lost interest. Rose Vivat in Alterium is a coronation song. Would have been amazing to use that. Yeah, I don't know what music that is. I bet if I heard it, I would recognize it. I'm just guessing I would recognize it. Maybe I won't, but some of those old classic things, you can't help but know them just by, living enough on this earth. So then I listened to a couple things. I looked at a couple things the other day, and it was talking about Napoleon the Tyrant. I just from my reading, he just doesn't seem like. I mean, he was a warmonger, but I'd say he's less of a tyrant than, here we go, Alexander the Great. Oh my God! Yeah, I think Alexander the Great was a bigger tyrant, but I still wouldn't call him a tyrant. He just liked to fight people, and that's kind of a problem if you don't want to be killed. You know, if you're in the way of somebody that likes to fight wars, yeah, you're going to be a casualty. Cannot glue this with freaking plastic glue. All right, we're going to punt on this and there's not enough of this that pops out. What I end up doing with this, I take a stapler and just freaking staple this, and I put it somewhere that's not visible. Done. But that's not really a priority at this point to do that. Just looked it up. 12.6 books a year. Well, I'm definitely bringing the average down. I do read a lot. I just don't read like, you're going to read this book start to finish. I'm like, that's not me. I've got this to do, How many models does the average person put together a year? I bet I'm driving that number way the hell up. Like, I don't put models together. I'm busy reading. Okay, nerd burglar. Okay, bookworm. Should eclipse that number at some point next month. 9th book. Yeah. I do like reading. It's too relaxing, but it makes me go to sleep. The other thing is, just to prove how relaxing sometimes it is, I'm about to give you too much TMI. I don't have a problem. I generally don't ever have to use the bathroom in public. And what I mean is, the one you don't want to use in public. But when I go to a bookstore, for some reason, I need to go. It's too relaxing. It relaxes my bowels too much. Now, I don't actually go, but I'm like, man, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to hurry up and get home. It's just too relaxing. So it's not like I don't like looking at books, and I don't like reading, and I don't like going to a bookstore. It's just that I just don't do it because it's just too relaxing. You love the Tudors. He was the wrong cast for Henry, but the show was still good. Okay, fair enough. I think that girl with the funny mouth looked pretty good in it. The one that played, I can't remember what her name is. The one that was in Game of Thrones. I can't think of what her name is. But man, beheading is a bad way to freaking go. It may be painless, but it's just psychologically like fucked up. It is just really fucked up to be killed and like your body isn't together. I have a problem with that. It's really disturbing. From audiobook Tony to Tony stop motion. I would love to do audiobooks. There's a book that I have here that is phenomenal that I would love to read online. It's historical fiction, but it's an author that, and I've mentioned this before. He was a war gamer slash historian that used to come by the hobby store, and he lived here locally, and he passed away very, very early in his life from cancer, probably from smoking a lot. He was a very heavy smoker. But he wrote a couple books, including one that made it, at least one that made it on the military book club. His name is Russ Schneider. But the first one he ever did, actually you can, it's people are selling it on Amazon supposedly for about $200. I'm not selling my copy, and it's already like come out of the binding. But it's these short stories, and it's called Tales of Madness, Horror on the Eastern Front or something like that. And it's like about 10 stories, and half of them are from the German standpoint, half of them are from the Russian standpoint. It's make-believe scenarios, but they're, they're not horror from the standpoint of, they're horrific. They're more like horrific stories. It's more like it. They got gore, and I don't know if I read them again now, they would be that gory by today's standards, but I remember they were pretty gory back in the day. And they're pretty awesome. And I believe some of them give you ideas for like skirmish scenarios or something like that. One of them that sticks in my mind is about a Panther crew that I want to say they had to bail out of their tank, and there was some T-34s they ran into, and they had like skulls they were decorating their tank with skulls of humans they killed, or stuff like that. So it was but it was, I thought it was pretty good, but I don't, are we going to have a problem with that hatchet right there? Unless this sits inside of it. Is this another pizza chip? No, we can make this one work. They got a freaking hatchet that's right up against that one piece. All right, where's the B3 piece that goes on it? Well, I bought a pack of Booster and Newton oil paints that had basic colors like 15, and white spirits about 6 to 8. Cool. Nerd Burglar, you're watching this documentary about men that love sex dolls. Almost all the men build models. What do they look like? Nordic wants to know if they come in Asian and blonde. Oh, the chalk pastels, you need to buy a set of them individually and scrape the chalk till it makes the powder. Do people still do that? That was like state of the art back in 1991. Rick, did you know Lego people live in houses made of their own flesh? It's not really flesh if it's plastic. Yes. Yes, Natalie Dormer. She looked good in that. I made it through, I want to say 2 more queens, and then I just kind of lost interest because the cast for Henry sucked. I just don't think he was a good cast. People do their own audiobook readings on their YouTube channels all the time. I should try. I just don't want to. I mean, the author's been dead for 20 years. I just don't want to disrespect anybody, that way. I don't want to, They say, well, you could contact the publisher, and the publisher's not around anymore. I don't want to have some video and then have some strike or, Maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it. Rick was behind the street. I'll just have to have Rick chained in the room here somewhere. I better not do that. He might actually enjoy that. Hey, there's worse places to be chained up than here. Hey, studio, good morning. So how's tomorrow look? Does the apocalypse happen on that side of the world yet, or give us some information? If only if it worked that way. Okay, I'm not going to follow instructions because this needs to go in an angle to fit underneath this stupid little hatchet. And in order to do that angle, this would end up, the barrel would end up being through the chassis here. So we're not going to do that. We're going to put this plate on first. Then we'll put the big old 128 millimeter 128 L55, if I remember correctly, from Command Decision. Well, it's not from Command Decision. That's really the caliber of the weapon, which is what I always liked about Command Decision, is it had stats that actually meant something. Not like, oh, that's an A-class penetration gun. Like, okay, well, what is that? You know, you're basically learning fluff instead of like real terms. So kudos for Mr. Chadwick for that. And even when I played Advanced Squad Leader, it was really similar to their factors were very similar to every 10 millimeter armor was almost like a number. So there's some correlation between it. I'm a fan of games that use an approach like that. It makes sense to me. Oh, well, this is shoddy workmanship. So far, the worst thing about these is they don't give you the option to have hatches open. That needs to glue there. Yeah, we're going to leave that. We'll see what kind of trouble that Vespa ends up giving me. Those old Eschi kits are probably going to be a nightmare. Making your own weathering powders and oil washes. How dare you speak for me? But yes, I want to know that answer. A friend wants to know. That's right. Another friend that just happens to be into blondes and Asians. I'd look it up, but I probably would see things that I might learn a whole lot from. I can speak for you if I know what you're looking for. And you told me. Command Decision, the game with tokens for hidden movement. It's, yeah, tokens for you cover your orders and you kind of have to move that way. Did I say the book were short stories? If so, pick one or two you want to read. It's free advertising for them. But if you read the whole book, it's more like piracy. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to get myself in trouble. We'll see. I think they're pretty unique, and I wish there was more stuff like that. Of course, it's been a long time since I read it. I might be like, oh, this is what this is? I'm not so impressed. But it's nothing supernatural. So, you know, the horror is more like tales of horrificity. Horrificness. Yeah, I'm making up words. Horriciousness. Oh, the horror. Okay, I want to take it down to nothing. You know, and I looked at the YouTube conditions, and it's like, you know, no normal person can read that stuff. They complicate everything with freaking attorneys, so so they basically, you know, they create a job for themselves, and for the rest of us, they create just apathy. You're like, I can't process this. I'm an above average intelligence person, and I can't figure this shit out. You know. All right, that's probably close enough. Let's take this to it now. Is there anything you didn't like about the game? I've seen Frank at the convention. I haven't talked to him, but I've seen Frank at the convention. He seems extremely low energy and easygoing. I'll bet he'll be at Historicon. You could go meet him there. It's not too far from where you're at. But this Historicon, the theme, not that the theme means anything, is like U.S. Civil War or something like that. I'm like, well, that's a good one for me to miss. Oh, of course, we have a pre-drilled barrel. I don't know. That's a pretty long barrel for a 55 caliber weapon, which is kind of, I guess, mid-range. One of the inaccuracies. Oh, and it's even worse because now it's going to be at the end of this. One of the inaccuracies on one of the kits was talking about the Jagdtiger was, it's, I guess one of the modeling sites said it was a stretched King Tiger hull, and the particular kit did not have the hull any longer than a King Tiger. But assuming this pizza chip is accurate, it looks like it is longer. By maybe a foot. Although I'm surprised how not big the Jagdtiger is. Well, you know, it is. It does have a very large turret, which it needs to for, you know, the house that massive 88 millimeter gun. Okay, so we're gonna put that on there, and then we have let's put the accoutrement on here before we do that. Did this finally glue in place like it was supposed to? Insolent piece of plastic. Got to make something to eat. Finally got hungry to eat. At 10? Man, you're like people in Spain that eat so damn late. Okay, we got a whole machine gun to put in place. Yeah, if we go to Spain, we have to train those bastards. Like, listen, where I come from, we eat freaking at 5 p.m. Now get out for your siesta and make me a sandwich. Let's make sure this thing fits okay before we start. Because the whole machine gun on the Jagdtiger didn't fit worth a damn. Yeah, we're good. You finally got hungry enough to eat. I could eat all day. That's my addiction, food. I love to eat. Boy, you just don't want to stay in place, do you? Just stay there. Rick will make you a milkshake. I hadn't built models in many, many years until I started back last October. And man, I'm enjoying it so much. I really, really am. I'm really enjoying working on something that I don't have a time frame of when I have to have it done by. That whole you gotta have it done by the next show nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. I'll get done when I get done, and that's when it'll be done, and it won't be done sooner than that because that's when it'll be done. And of course this popped loose. I don't think I've encountered anything that's that big of a deal on any of the models except for this Jagdtiger where the glue didn't stick to it. I've just never seen that ever in my entire life. That weld cement will not weld it together. And it's a manufacturer. I had built things from them before. For whatever reason, this one in particular was made of substandard material. Maybe the Rubicon Stewart on the shelf needs some love. Man, knowing how many options Rubicon gives you, I bet you could build everything from the Honey all the way to an M5A1. And they give you a ton of freaking decals. Like, I'm freaking jealous. It's just the wrong scale for me. I'll never do that scale. That's a That's not geared for me. I may have been tempted to do 15 millimeter if it was a thing when I started doing skirmish World War II, but it wasn't. One glass of cold, chunky milk coming up. Well, at least it's cold. At least it's cold. You have a full kitchen though, and you don't cook, do you? And I'm not going to give you any shit for not cooking, because I lived alone for 11 years. I didn't cook a damn thing. I think I made eggs, rice. That's about it. It's not worth my time. And people always say, "Oh, you like to eat." I said, "I do, and I can assemble things." I have no problem assembling things. Oh, the happy headlight goes right in there in the middle. Okay, and the other one's a periscope. The happy headlight. I'm surprised you didn't lock your... You must have gotten distracted by something by not locking your door and have your mom sneak up on you. I am like a notorious door locker. We have a door that runs between the garage and the kitchen. And we have the laundries in the garage. And when I'm doing laundry, I notoriously, in one move, close the door and like turn the thing. So I'm like locking it every single time. And my wife's like, "Why you always lock everything?" I said, "Because I lived alone too many years. And I don't live in a high crime area, but I want to make it really difficult for people to screw with me." So we have a Facebook group for our neighborhood. And frequently people go on there and said, "Oh, somebody's rifling through my car and took all my whatevers." I'm like, "Well, did you lock it?" "No." Who doesn't lock their car? It just doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you lock your car? All right. The headlight is there. So I live basically in a suburbia, in a neighborhood, and when I would mow the lawn in the back, I wouldn't leave the garage open. I'd close it. I'm not going to go in the back of my yard and leave my garage open. Just got to make it difficult for they go pick another. I mean, yeah, they could come and mess with you anyways, but you got to make everybody else's stuff more tempting than your own. The thing is Rick probably has more merchandise than Studio has in his store. And I'm not saying that because I think Studio doesn't have a lot of stuff. Do you have carpet in that room? You try to keep everything locked, but I think there were just too many people in and out that night, got left open. Yeah, it happens. My wife gets on to me. Why do you always have everything locked? I said, it's just habit. You can't break that habit. You live alone. You're the only one that's ever on watch. Let's get some stick-on to catch some of this weight of this. The Notorious Door Locker. Is he still making movies? You know, when I think of Steven Seagal, the very first thing I think of is that movie he was in where they try to ambush him in the pool hall, and he ends up taking a rag and puts a cue ball in it and starts wailing on people. And you can just feel it. I don't know, it's Hard to Kill or one of his first ones. I'll always remember that. That's what he's known for in my book. Just putting a cue ball in a rag and just wailing on somebody. What gets me, you'll hear someone got their wallet, purse stolen that they left in their car, that they left out in their driveway, that they left unlocked. Yeah. Yeah, I just have trust issues. You know, and you just develop really bad habits. And like I said, I don't live in what you would call a bad neighborhood. And you probably don't either, Rick, but, you know. You gotta make it difficult for bad people to get their jollies on you. Like, go screw with somebody else. I don't leave nothing in my car. I don't even have the garage door opener tuned. I got one of those automatic things that I can press a button and my garage door will open. I don't have that in my car. I haven't set it to it. Nope, you don't get in my garage that way either. And the best thing you can have is you can have a neighbor who apparently has so much money they leave the freaking night lights on in their house all day long, and they're right next to you. It's like perfect. I don't have to spend the money, and you're leaving at daylight. Go, make it difficult. Leave them go somewhere else. Deterrence is the key. They'll normally just move on to rob something easier. That's right. They're lazy. A lot of my customers have more stock than I do. It's a gamer's curse. Well, yeah. I don't have that much. Well, I do now. It's all model kits that I got from freaking Noble Knight, but I don't feel bad about that. We're going to get these things knocked out. This is a whole lot of fun. I don't know that I'm going to get them all done before I get more, but, I got a bunch of things that I want to do. All right, let's make sure we put this in the right way. There's probably a right way and a wrong way. Like so. Record my videos in the store, which is why I keep the video a little dark to minimize the advertising. Like the advertising on the stuff you have? Wouldn't you want to advertise? I don't know. Is it copyright? Is it a copyright problem? Oh, this is interesting. Oh, it does fit through there. Huh. How quaint. Make sure it fits before we put it on there. Yep. Sure does. It's like playing a game of Operation without that annoying buzzer. Now, I don't know if this lays flat, but I don't think it can lay flat and still be in that same spot. So I want to make sure that it's in the spot it needs to be on the bottom. Well, there we go. Yeah, I'm fine with it being like that. Everything's in place where it's supposed to be. Okay, what do we got next? Extra track links on the side, and then put the whole top and the whole bottom together. Okay. And we're not going to mess with the track tonight because I don't want to mess that up. Well, the fit and finish on this thing's not too bad. A couple... Oh, really? That misbehaved? A couple of small issues, but you know, nothing major. Kind of surprised that they did the front of the vehicle the way they did. Makes it kind of easy for that piece to pop out. The videos are not promoting the store, so I don't see a reason to highlight the store. Store tour. I agree. I think that would be neat. Okay, I will be right back in a moment. Here's something Rick should get for his game group thing. Pretzel balls. Sorry, I was hungry. The store is a mess. We'll need to sort first. Mess builds character. I disagree. I hate chaos. It's fun if you're going to some place to look through like a garage sale, but I can't stand like gaming somewhere. It's crazy. That's one of the problems that I have when I go over to somebody's house. I go bring things over. I take some of them out, and I invariably leave some of them there because you have to you're distracted by all the clutter. Neutral grounds. Yeah, clutter drives me crazy. So we got some track links to do. Looks like 4 on each side. I could just not put them on here and put them on the King Tiger, but I'm not doing that. What's neutral grounds? We still got those little shackles. Shackalackle. Neutral ground sounds like a pacifist coffee shop. A coffee shop that's put together by the UN. UN Starbucks. It's called Neutral Grounds. You guys have a plethora of mopeds in Malaysia, don't you? I think that's one of the moped megalopolises. Game shop in the Philippines. They opened a few years after I did, but They're doing so much better. Oh, they are? I'm surprised any game shop does well. It's just difficult. It's a difficult market that doesn't appeal to a lot of people for whatever reason. A lot of people don't even know about it. And then some people know about it and they just don't buy any product. They just sit there and play games. Gets used as a daycare for adult kids. Army Painter. That shade stuff's good. That strong tone. I've switched to that from Agrex. I'm not a big fan of the Army Painter paints themselves because they just behave oddly. They're not usable, and I won't not buy any more again. But they're different. They're different animals. I looked to see if there was like a King Tiger detail set, but it's like talk about polishing a turd. Neutral Grounds Pacifist Coffee Shop. Well, I don't know what would a war gamer what would a war gamer coffee shop be like? And you would think that coffee is caffeine. I'm a big fan of caffeine, and I don't get more easygoing if I have caffeine. You know what I'm saying? I don't do Magic the Gathering. That's a plague. I agree. Are those the stinkiest of players too? Magic the Gathering? It started when I worked at the hobby store, and we hated those people. Because they'd come in, they want to look at cards, sit around, not buy anything. It was almost like if gaming was drugs, Magic the Gathering was the drugs that motivated you to not do a damn thing. Just like, dude, you like pooped your pants. Like, yeah, whatever. It's like they didn't buy anything. They didn't build anything. They didn't, it was like you're just buying shit. This is why I like you. You understand what it's like to own a shop. Yeah. So, the place I worked at was a family business. I knew the owners. And the owner was a guy who had a shop. That's what he did growing up. He was a retired military. He wasn't that old. He was in his 40s when I knew him. His family, that's what they did. And in the mid 80s to like 91, that's what he did. Got really sick, ended up getting cancer. His family took it over. He passed away. I was in my late teens at that time and had a part-time job there. And his family ran it another 7 years, and it was just like, even back in those days, not today, back in those days, people would, there was a company here in the United States called Horizon Hobbies. And they were like a one-stop shop to get everything. They had everything from model kits to, I mean, they didn't have everything, but they had like, RC cars and planes, RC planes and model kits and stuff like that. And they were just sold in bulk, and you could mail order from them and get like 10-15% less, but you had to wait. You had to wait for them to come in, and it's not mail order now, like where you can get it within a week. It's mail order, like you had to wait a couple weeks, and people were just like, they wouldn't support the local store, and were fine waiting 2 or 3 weeks for their product that may or may not arrive just to save 10%. It just didn't make any sense. I will never let people play in the store for free. You pay a rent to rent a table unless you're playing a store-sponsored tournament. I was telling you, there's a store here in town. They charge people $10 to play, and you get it in store credit, and you can use it to buy candy bars. They had snacks and stuff in there. So you're not just soaking up oxygen. That tells you how many people soaked up oxygen before they realized we got to do something. So what happens in all these companies I used to do business with in this scale is they were old British guys. They were old British guys that were war gamers. Most war gamers are about 10 years older than I am. I was born in 71, so most of them are, 10 years on me. Most historical ones that I've encountered, or more. And they started this cottage industry that somehow they were able to make it work and do that for a living. But I suspect that a lot of their families just didn't want to live the lifestyle that was being conducive to having to run this store, that it was not something they were passionate about. It would be like if I did what I'm doing now and I'm basically barely making ends meet. If somebody wasn't really into this, like I am, they wouldn't want to do it because it's not like they're making any money off of it, So it's just difficult. It's a difficult thing, and I feel like there's a lot less people doing hobbies now than there used to be. Maybe more doing Warhammer gaming. I don't know, but there's no model kits. There's no model stores in Florida. I thought there was one. I stumbled across it, and I had a bad experience there in Miami, and they basically weren't open to the public, and they didn't say that. And anyways, it was a customer no service issue. Some douche stink. Problem with Magic the Gathering players, unless it's a tournament or pre-release, they don't spend money. They take up space or are annoying. Well, a lot of those get treated as daycares. Mothers will drop their 16-year-old kids or whatever, and they just nerd burgle out all day long. Mom can go have cucumber sandwiches or whatever the hell she does all day while their kids dropped off. Not China. I don't know yet. Of course not China. Japan's an option, but I don't care much for a country that doesn't like foreigners. Do they not like foreigners? I love Japanese stuff, but Man, they're an eccentric bunch, aren't they? I can't imagine driving a vehicle that's not a Japanese vehicle, but man, they're quirky. Hmm. Looks kind of odd. Like the tracks aren't perpendicular to the ground. I don't know. Maybe it's just an optical delusion. I don't know. Look at that size of the side of the superstructure, and it has holes. I can't put them wherever the hell I want. And flip to the other side. Seems like they're like cocked back a bit, and I can't twist them because the holes are where the holes are. Oh, and this doesn't have shirts in on it, which is fine because you actually get this nice little detail here of where it could bolt on. And it hasn't told me to put on these the clevises yet, and they're here. Okay, so these instructions get kind of a 92. A low A. Some things that are wrong with them. Yeah, here's piece 6. I mean, we know where they go. They go up here. You know? What's the age range for this? Take extra care in handling photo etch parts in order to avoid injury. No photo etch parts included. This product is not a toy. Well, I can still make vroom vroom sounds with it. Suitable for ages 14, over 14 only. I like this. Have a little silhouette of a guy and a girl. I'm just assuming it's a girl. She's got a ponytail. Back when I grew up, only girls had ponytails. There's no girls putting in plastic. Are there girls putting together plastic models? I'm all for it, but you know. Strict policy of no unattended kids in your store, or they get caned. Oh wait, that's Singapore, not Malaysia. Can you just like cane people on in Singapore, or only the government gets that the thrill. Do the Japanese not like foreigners, or they just don't like people coming in and changing their culture? Those two things are different. I can actually respect one of them. And it's not the not liking foreigners part. Wow, I kind of don't want to put the hull together until I put the track together. And I'm of the opinion that I'm gonna staple it. I'm gonna staple it and then put it down here on the bottom, and you're not gonna be able to see it because it's not gonna come apart then. Because normally these have these little prongs that go through, but they don't even go through hardly at all. Even if I used what we used to do, remember we used to take a screwdriver and you'd heat it up and then you'd press it down? That's not gonna get you anywhere there. I think I'm just gonna hold this together, maybe put a piece of tape and then staple it. Push one staple through there in the middle, and then take the tape off, like a clear tape. Now, one thing that's unique that I kind of have to give them kudos for is if you look at this track, it's actually the teeth on it aren't. What made you decide to get a Jagdtiger since you don't care for late war? They had it in stock. I mean, seriously, they had it in stock, and I heard good things about Trumpeter, and they're pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, it's not a Tamiya kit, but Tamiya doesn't make stuff in 1/72nd scale. It looks like a Dragon kit. It's probably less fiddly than a Dragon. I look forward to doing more Trumpeter stuff. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's not centered. I mean, it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to have more of the track out towards the outside of the vehicle. So yeah, I think this thing's pretty good. Especially this guy, even more than the Jagdtiger. And the reason I say that is because the decal options that this thing comes with is amazing. You can make like 7 vehicles out of all the decal options. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I value stuff like that a lot. It makes you like, okay, well, I'll pick up like 4 of them, and they're about $20 a piece. Unfortunately, they don't make mundane things. They don't make like Panzer IIIs or Crusaders or, they make super tanks. I know, because people want to buy super tanks. Like I said, I feel weird making this thing. It's just like, I feel dirty. I don't know. I'm looking forward to painting it because I'm going to use some colors that I've never used before. I'm going to make this a base green, so it's going to be mostly green. But that's as far as I can continue building this thing until I end up using a stapler on the tracks. What time is it? Shit, I don't want to go to bed. I'm an adult. I don't have to, right? Ooh. Oh, fuck. I may have screwed up. I did. They give me 2 ball mount machine guns. This one doesn't have Zimrit on it. This one does. Well, let's pop this bitch out. I didn't think I needed to look at the part for the freaking ball mount machine gun. I didn't notice that it had 2 of them. Yeah, we'll be able to get this thing off, no problem. Hopefully without breaking anything else. I did think it was kind of strange, like, why is there no Zimrit on the ball mount? Well, I mean, it's fine. It probably look okay too. Let's de-weld this. That should go on the Tiger 1, but I don't feel like spending any effort on any valuable parts to put on those pieces of shit. It's amazing how long it takes to put these things together. You think, oh, I'll do one in an afternoon. No, you won't. Not if you want to take your time and do it. Seen a few female channels on YouTube that build model kits. Are they cute? Your girl there that does the airbrush thing, what's her name? The broadsword girl? She did an airbrush video and just made me cringe. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I'm no airbrush expert, but holy smokes. They were doing a lot of, she was doing a lot of stuff that I was just really cringing at. Like, oh no, don't do that. I've used this so much, the tip of this is starting to look like one of those cheap tester's brushes. Well, they can focus on painting it. You know, I really dislike cleaning up somebody's flash. I don't think that's my responsibility. You know, if you have flash, you have a shitty kit. Sorry. You need to clean your molds, pal. That's kind of like buying a new car. All right, can I run it now? No, you got to do an oil change now. Like, what? Yep. I'm going to leave these things on the sprue. I'll throw this one away. So yeah, the SU-152, I can make like 7 different vehicles. How many different vehicles can I make for the Jagdtiger? 1. It's like, what? At least give you like 2 vehicles. Okay, we're going to set this off to the side. Hopefully somewhere it's not going to tip over. That would be helpful. And of course we're not going to be able to finish that because I don't want to rush this track thing. But this is like the nicest, this is the nicest track that's rubber band I've ever seen in my life. Even in 1/35th scale, this is better than most 1/35. Maybe not the stuff that's available now. But back when I was around, back when I was doing 1/35th scale stuff, this is certainly nicer than the stuff that was available back then. Well, I'm going to fool around with something for a little bit. And again, it's something I've already done an unboxing for. And we'll have to finish it up. Of course, I put all my stuff away, so. I've already done the unboxing video on this stuff. I just haven't published it yet. Because it seems like the way forward is to go ahead and show a finished model as well. Let me go ahead and take that label off. And that's the Polish company, First to Fight, Czech 38 Command tank. And instructions just all on the back. First thing I want to see is I want to see how this thing scales. I want to see how this thing scales with the Plastic Soldier Company ones I have. So, more plastic bags for the bag monster. I got an empty box here. So we can go ahead and put this. You don't give me a box that has a top and sides, I'll create one. Let's get a finished check 38. A finished one, not a finished one. The fins didn't get any. One does thirst trap thumbnails. Of course, they work. That's why you clicked on it. Add a remover channel from suggestions. If you have a thirst trap to get viewers, that means your content sucks. Well, not always. The Sierra girl has thirst trap. Well, I don't know about thirst trap. She's cute. She's on them, you know. She's scary with an airbrush, though. Okay, so here is the hole size. Let's see if we have... Now, I don't know what model these are. This one says it's a C. These might be E's or something like that. Looks like it's a little smaller. Let's clip this thing out. Thirst trap. That's one of those modern sayings I actually like. It's just funny hearing it. Some modern sayings I can't stand, but that's not one of them. Ooh. Light. That's pretty close. It's pretty close. I'm leaving a little bit of a nub on purpose. Those two girls that did do they still do that show? I haven't seen them in a while. Is it Swords and Steel or something like that? The one girl's nerdy and the other guy, the other girl OD'd on like happy pills. Like, holy smokes. They get a ton of views because they're girls. There's nothing wrong with that. I told my daughter, so if I get her on some of the videos, I'll probably get more viewers, but I don't know that I want those viewers. It's not that kind of channel. Baiting your own family members for more views. Not exactly direction I want to go in. If you know, you keep building German stuff, someone's going to accuse you of being a German sympathizer. That's right. That's right. Well, I actually made a conscious effort when I got into models. I did Shermans first. I did like, what was it, like 6 or 7 Shermans. I did it on purpose. I did the challenge because, you know, I figured, well, you could probably make these Shermans interesting. Ooh, that was a horrible sound. one guy in one of the groups, he's just on a tear. He's doing German thing after German thing after. I mean, you know, like freaking like 20 German vehicles at once. I'm like, you know, they need somebody to fight, you know. I was actually going to mess with the T26, but I haven't done an unboxing video on it. So I kind of have to do that first. This one I've already done it, so I could splice it with the other stuff. I don't know what to make out of this plastic, though. It's really light. My favorite plastic is Plastic Soldier Companies, and also that Armor Fast. That Panzer IV from Armor Fast was amazing. German sympathizer. Wearaboo. One of those newfangled terms. To 10. As far as gamer girl, she's probably like a 13, but that's not saying a whole lot. She's cute. She's not Asian or blonde though, so you missed your chance. I don't know if I'd want to be with somebody who shared my hobby. What if they did and they were better at it than you were? Fuck. Another thing they're better at you at. Man. Pretty soon the only edge you'll have on your significant other is they send you in when you have to kill spiders or... It's a bug, go get it for me. Oh, by the way, you suck at everything else. What? How many people that are on YouTube would you say that they don't use their real name, though? She uses her D&D character name, or whatever. Something wood. Darkwood, Elvenwood, something or another. Too complicated not to use your real name. People can find out who you are anyway, so... I mean, unless, you know, you're embarrassed of who you really are. Naomi does her videos still. Yeah, the other girl was like on the happy pills. Hey, good. I'm glad that there's women in the hobby. It's just kind of a rare thing. Just like when I went to the fabric store the other day, I was the only dude there. And those ladies at fabric stores look at you weird, like, "Are you lost, sir?" Nope. I'm a crafty bastard. Ooh, this is a tight fit. Okay. All right. Before we get carried away, man, that drawing is small. I think that says A9. Oh, that's unfortunate. they have the inside of the sprocket wheel. Like, why couldn't they just molded that on? Make me build shit that you can't see. That's like busy work. Build this. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to hide it so nobody can see it. Well, why do I bother building it? Because I'm in charge. Okay, whatever. I think it'd be fun for you if you got your daughter to build one of these models, do you, or paint something with you. Nope. Nope. Go quench your thirst somewhere else. I don't think my daughter would enjoy this. She's really good at doing watercolors. So she's definitely artsy. I'm not handy, I'm artsy. No, what is it? I'm crafty. Yeah, I'm artsy too, but I'm definitely not handy. And it's really frustrating for somebody who's really detail oriented to encounter something like, oh, the toilet's loose, let's go to fix it. Like, I do everything right and I still can't do it right. It's like, you know, I'm not terrible at it. I don't have a disaster. It just, I don't get it right the first time I try it. And it's really frustrating because I'm pretty detail oriented. And I can't stand going into a Lowe's or a Home Depot or something, and you just like, I need something that's in the middle of the frickin' store. You know, walk in the store and you gotta walk like 400 yards one way and 400 yards the other. It just takes time. I have 2 painted World War I British tanks. You need a cold shower, my friend. Oh, well. Make me put that piece on there and it just disappears. You can't even see it. I've heard him put the outside of a sprocket wheel on, but the inside? This plastic's a bit rubbery, but so was the Armor Fast one, and that was stellar. Stellarly brilliant. Okay. And A7 and A6. Okay, why does it matter which one goes on which side? They're identical. Oh, because they got a thingy, a notch. Pixie sticks. What are those? Are those things that are like freaking powdered Smarties? Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely on something. They'd give her news that she has cancer and she'd be like, still smiling. I don't know. I guess that's a good way to be. I watched a couple of their videos. I like watching unboxing videos, and they had some cool terrain stuff, but I didn't fall for the thirst trap. They didn't really do anything for me, but they did do they looked like she had a cool she had a cool painting area. That was neat. And she's a pretty good painter. Did I finish the Jagdtiger? One of them. It more like it finished me. Look at this abortion. It's actually, so the biggest problem with it is the plastic and the glue, but it's got. I'm gonna have to get track links on here and hide this because it looks like they were gonna design like the little spots for the track to go and then just gave up on it. And I can't really drill it out and put hooks because that's just a lot. It's just a lot of work for something that's just not deserving of it. These things were like $12 for two of them, and I have a feeling that it's probably the first kit that they made, and it probably will paint up okay, but I got to do something with it. It's just like slicker than snot. I don't know what this is when they melted a bunch of. You know what it feels like? Okay, this is what it feels like. All right. I don't know if they have this in Britain, so try to follow along with me. And in zoos in the United States in the late 70s, and in my case, they had it at the Miami's Aquarium. They had these machines that for $1 or something like that, you put coins in there, and they would have these. I'm going to call it a toy, but it was almost like a statue of something that was in the zoo. So they would have like an elephant or whatever, or they would have like a giraffe or a dolphin or something like that. And you put it in there, and it was this mold that would close up, and they would inject this plastic, this rubbery wax-like plastic into it, and it would come out, and you would watch it happen, just like it was making a soda for you. You know, those things that would drop the soda, and you could see it being poured in. Same thing. You could see this, and it was only one design per machine. So it's like, okay, this one makes the dolphin, and it comes in blue. The other one makes a giraffe, and it comes in orange. And it does, and it comes out. It spits the thing out, and it's this waxy type plastic, and it comes out. It actually smells like wax, and it's very like waxy, slippery. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. So it's just strange. I am going to do something with it because it's going to be a thrill. I know that it will look okay. It's just really, really odd. It's just really, really odd that it's actually made by a company that I actually kind of respect. I mean, these are the same folks that made that awesome KV1 and KV2. So, and the T26s that I have from them and the BT7s that I have from them are really good. Those are really brittle and really thin plastic. None of this was really thin. It's just slippery as hell. But we'll do something cool with it. But I do need to put the tracks on it, and I don't have to put the tools as much as the tracks because you've got divots here, so there's no point in filling them in. But normally these things have like a couple cables that start here. They start over in this zone, and they go all the way over, and they wrap around like this, almost like a really flattened C. That's how they normally look like. We'll figure it out. We'll knock it out on the park, I'm sure. She could also be nervous, and so it's really bubbly when she's nervous. I don't know. She's a little too positive. I don't know. She's still doing videos with him. It seemed like COVID just screwed that channel up big time. They went into like lockdown and like hid in a hole. They're gonna try that shit again too, and I'm not hiding in a damn hole. Just in time for us to get even busier at work. Naomi is definitely attractive. Huh? Whatever works for you, man. Doesn't do anything for me, but it's probably a good thing. like the Plastic Soldier Company one more. Yeah, I'm gonna put these things on after we add. Man, these instructions are really, really small. Handlebars. Handlebars of some kind or another. Uh-oh. That is a thin piece. That is a really thin piece. That's so thin, we're going to cut this thing way back here. And hold it. Please don't break. Oh, that flexed a lot. Shit. I almost lost that mother. Well. Then we're going to do this one differently. Yeah, that was better. We're going to lose that piece. No. It's plastic, so we can perform miracles in plastic. It's the part that goes over the fender. All right, we're gonna lose you. So let's just break you off. We'll glue you on later. With adversity becomes opportunity. What? What kind of self-help shit are you smoking, Tony? We will glue that piece on, and then after it's glued on, we will trim it. Okay, I don't believe that gets placed at this point. No. That, I don't care what that thing says. Not loving the instructions. It's not really a problem for me, but I can see that being a problem for other people. I mean, I think I've encountered every single thing I've built. There's been a problem with the instructions at some point or the other. Even Plastic Soldier Company that I think very highly of. There's lots of stuff that goes on that they don't even show. So you're left with all these extra parts and you don't know where they go. Unless you are motivated to look up stuff on things, but they give you extra things and you don't even know where they go on there. Skip steps. I actually watched somebody do an unboxing video of this and they didn't think it was total trash. Their instructions had another side mine didn't have. Yeah, you know what I hate about the Czech 38? It's a two-man turret. You know, I just don't think of German main battle tanks is a one-man turret, a two-man turret, sorry. It was originally a one-man turret. And then the Germans didn't want any part of that. Okay, this looks like it fits in there pretty well. Yeah, I was going to get that Tamiya kit, but you said there was left nothing to be desired. There's nothing for the modeler to do. Hey, some of us have all kinds of freaking problems at work. We don't need problems at home too. So, having a kit that goes together well is a blessing. I almost picked up two Czech 35s. I almost did, but they were like almost $30 a piece, and I'm like, nah. Because that incident in Lithuania, when the Germans invaded and that KV stopped them, was the 6th Panzer Division, which was equipped with Czech 35s. So like that would be a pretty cool skirmish scenario. You've got, you know, a platoon of Czech 35s, and you have to get around this slow-moving tank. All right. I've always called that tank, though, the Czech 38. I've never called it Panzer nothing. Think I'm inhaling too much cement? Maybe. Let me know if I start sounding pretty bubbly. Oh, this is non-toxic. This isn't the Tamiya glue. This is non-toxic, which means I should be able to drink this stuff. It smells like oranges. It must have vitamin C in it and stuff. Oh, and the back plate falls off. I think every model kit instructions have at least a few times. They are. Yeah. Except Tamiya. Hey, I used to be a Tamiya fanboy. But at that time, DML had just come out, right? Italeri stuff sucked, pretty much. Well, they were the best game in town in the late 80s, early 90s. I used to go to a store that would have them in stock. There was this craft store called Ben Franklin's, and they had Tamiya kits. Believe it or not, it seemed really strange that some place like Joann's Fabrics would have a freaking Tamiya kit, but that's basically what it was. It was the equivalent of it. Okay, this is piece A5. That's the B, E, P, just a couple small pieces there. Here it is. You want to be more challenged? Blindfold yourself for work on them. Blind man modeling. My challenge is by hand painting shit that most people wouldn't hand paint. But then painting is my spirit animal. Le Moufleur. I guess I better go to bed soon. Now I'm starting to yawn. About time. Yeah, I'm going to leave this right here.